Hello. Welcome to the board Redditor. We listen to Reddit stories and I either rate them with good or bad. Let's get into the stories. A little backstory. When I first started having sex, I researched into ways to be better as I was a little stiff and pretty much had no idea what I was doing. I read online that you can play music and match the rhythm in order to put on a better performance. I searched love-making songs and started slowly creating a playlist in which I was comfortable matching the rhythm. There are a few songs to my playlist. However, there is one song in particular, which actually happens to be my favorite, that my girlfriend hates and says turns her off in a major way. I don't understand why it has taken her 2 years to tell me she hates that song. It's a good love-making song with good rhythm. I feel the way I fucked up, as I could have possibly asked her previously if she likes the playlist or any songs she'd like to add/change. But to leave it for 2 years thinking our sex life is great but in her eyes has just been ruined by my music has left the whole situation feeling awkward, and I'm a bit annoyed. I pretty much played this tune every single time, so the amount of times she must have not been enjoying it, when I thought the complete opposite is annoying but also embarrassing in ways. Not to mention my previous partners, however, they never complained about the song, so maybe it's just her. It's fucked up the relationship tbh, because sex feels awkward now. The other day we were having sex with no music, but I was still thrusting to the tune playing in my head. She recognized this and asked me to stop. I thought this song was perfect, and I always thrust along with the tune and feel it gives me the perfect rhythm for doing the deed to. I usually bust to this song and find it devastating she hates the song. I was feeling bad for the guy until I listened to the music he linked to the story. Let's hear 3 seconds of it. Poor girl. Amazing story. Let's hear the next one. My wife hates orange and lime flavored candies. I love them. Well, love the orange, like the lime. So, she passes on the orange Starburst to me. She passes the orange and green Skittles to me. She passes the orange and green gummy bears to me. This has been happening for 13 years. What she doesn't know is that the green Haribo gummy bears are actually strawberry. Shortly after we married, for one reason or another, I looked at the back of the Haribo gummy bears package and discovered this. So I haven't said anything for 13 years. Every time we get gummy bears, she gives me the orange and green, strawberry. I've never said a word. I've enjoyed eating my little lies. Until last night. We had some gummy bears and she opened them, and she started to hand me the orange and green ones. But after a few minutes, I saw her looking at the back of the bag. Then I saw her eyes get real big. She turned to me and asked if I've known that the green bears were strawberry. She always thought they were lime. I was honest and nodded my head yes. The look of betrayal was unreal. She asked how long I've known, and I was honest. I told her as long as we've been married. She quit giving me the gummy bears she didn't like. She was even eating the orange ones out of spite. I don't think I'll get any more gummy bear discards after this. Time to buy my own. One of the comments to this story was, and I quote, "Wait until she finds out the green Skittles are green apple." That had me in stitches. Great story. Let's get into the third one. So I, 39F, have a son, 15M, and he brought a friend round today. They immediately went to their room and I assumed they would just play some video games or whatever, so I was totally fine leaving them. It was about 30 minutes in when I was walking past, I heard sounds such as that's so good and it's so good with that in it and various sounds. It really sounded like they were having gay sex. I was super weirded out by it, so I quickly went downstairs and waited for his friend to leave. When this friend left an hour or two later, I asked my son what they were doing in his room, because although I don't mind him being gay, and it's normal for teenagers to have sex, a condom really should be used, so I planned to confront him about that. However, the answer shocked me to my very core. They weren't having sex, they were eating hummus. I was shocked and initially didn't believe it. We had never had hummus before, and I asked him to show me the hummus if this was true. So he did, and I ate hummus for the first time, and oh my god, was it good. We experimented with different things in it like bread and carrots, and it was great. Apparently his friend had heard about how he had never had hummus before and thought this was absurd, so had planned a date for a hummus party. So yeah, it ended up being quite a good ending. I discovered how nice hummus was. Not that great of a story this one. I have also never had hummus, so maybe that's the reason I didn't quite like it. Next story please. Happened last night. Wife's 8-year-old very large goldfish was passing away. Had dropsy, was suffering, and was on the verge of death. Wife and I looked into the symptoms and there was practically no hope of him making a recovery, so she asked me to euthanize him. Looking into methods, it seemed pretty agreed upon that the most effective and quick way to euthanize a fish was blunt force trauma. Now, when I was a kid my family were huge anglers and I was designated as the fish killer when it was time to cook them. Back then, I was told to slam them on the ground as hard as I could. Well, my 8-year-old body wasn't strong enough to kill them instantaneously, so I had to do it multiple times. Honestly, it kind of fucked me up a little. Flash forward to last night, I didn't want that happening again and I wanted it to be painless. I asked my wife to leave the room because she was very upset and I chose to do the deed by putting the fish in a plastic grocery bag and slamming it on the counter as hard as I possibly could. The poor fish was absolutely obliterated. The force ripped open the bag and sprayed bits of what used to be a goldfish in every direction. Told my wife to stay upstairs and she started getting suspicious, so she comes down after 5 minutes and it's just everywhere still. On the counter, on the stove, on the fridge, on the freaking Christmas tree we still have up. I was still finding pieces of it this morning. Wife was aghast and traumatized. Cried until she went to bed. Okay, this is a very hard one to judge. Surely there were better ways to do it than just smashing it to pieces. I'll let this one be your decision in the comments below. What did you think? Good or bad story? That is all for me today. See you in the next video of the Bored Redditor.